test suite is a general testing term, okay? And it's simply a collection of tests, right? Test sets is a term that's specific for ALM, but it means the same thing, okay? It means the same thing. Just like parameter, right? Everywhere else you go in math and anywhere else in the world, it's going to be called a variable, right? But ALM calls it a parameter, right? Same way, generally, collections of tests are called test suites, right? In ALM, we're calling them test sets, okay? So I'll create a new test set, and I'll say, valid users are able to log in, okay? This test set will contain test cases that will test this functionality. And, we can say the open date is today. The status is open. Over here, the type, we don't have anything here. Where would we go to customize these lists here? Where would we go? How would I customize this list, this type list for this new test set? How would I do that, guys? A project admin would have to log in and then go where? At project entities? No. Well, yeah, tools and then customize. Project list. That's where we can edit the list itself, right? Project entity would be, sorry? If we wanted to create, if we wanted to create a new field within an entity. This right here is an entity, right? If you want to create a new field, right, you would go to project entities and go to the different fields, right? If you wanted to update this list, you would go to that project lists, right? All right, let's click OK. And so we have for this test case. We haven't executed this yet, right? Does that make sense? So all I've done, in the test lab section, I have added to my execution grid the test cases that I want to execute. Okay? All right, let's take our break now for 1 hour. Let's come back at 9:10. Let's do 9:15, okay? All right, guys. Yes, you can. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what we did here. Okay. I'm just going to delete everything here. Okay, so starting over. Okay, so what we have done up till now in ALM, okay, as a user, as a tester, or as a business analyst, right? We have created requirements, right? We converted those requirements into test cases, brought them over into our test plan section, right? And then ALM. Right? Into the same folder structure that we have here, right? Now, all we've done up till now is design our testing, our test cases, right? We've created our test cases. We have not done any testing, actually, up till now, okay? We haven't done any testing, okay? Doing testing means that we are executing our test cases, right? In the test plan module of ALM, all we do is design our test cases. Okay? All we do in the test plan module of ALM is design our test cases. Right? So we're going to create our test cases. We're going to add the design. We can create templates for common steps. Right? We can map our requirements from the test cases. We can map our requirements to the test cases, right? All this stuff is happening within the test plan module. And the test lab module is used to execute our test cases. The test lab module is used to do the testing, to execute the test cases. Is that clear? Now, what we're going to do, let's check in everything over here. What we're going to do in the test lab section, right? We come over here, there's nothing here. Okay? What we're going to do is, in the root folder, we're going to create the same or a similar folder structure that we have in the test plan and the requirements module. Okay? So we're going to create something similar to this PNT forum, and then within that we have authentication. Within that we have valid users able to log in, and then we have a bunch of test cases. So let's just worry about these 3 test cases for right now. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to come here to root, and we're going to create a folder, PNT forum. Within the PNT forum, we'll have authentication, right? And PNT forum also has forum activities, right? So within PNT forum, we'll have forum activities. Okay? Now, within authentication, right, what do we have here? We have this folder that contains these test cases, right? We have this folder, valid users are able to log in, and it contains these 3 test cases. What we're going to do is within authentication, we can create what's called a test set, okay? A test set is simply a collection of test cases that go together, that logically go together, right? That are in some way related. That's what a test set is. What does this sound like, guys? It sounds like a test suite, right? A test suite is a general testing term, okay? Doesn't matter what tool you're using, it's a general testing term, okay? A test suite is simply a collection of tests that go together. That's what a test suite is, right? Well, in ALM, test suites are known as test sets. Okay? It's the same thing. All right. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a test set, and we're going to say valid users are able to log in to the PNT forum. That's the name that we're going to give. Okay? And we'll say in the description, this test set will contain test cases pertaining to logging into the PNT forum. Right? And we can say open date as today, right? The status we can say is open. Again, these fields are things that can be customized by the project admin. We haven't done that here, so this is what we see. Okay? Let's click OK. And now we have the test set. Okay? Now, like I said, a test set is simply a collection of test cases, right? A test set is simply a collection of test cases to be executed. So what we're going to do, we're going to come over to the execution grid tab, right? And this is where we're going to add our test cases to be executed. Okay? This is where we're going to add our test cases to be executed. So what are we going to do? We're going to come here, click on Select Tests. And we see here the test plan tree, right? Which is coming from the test plan module, right? And we're in this folder here, PNT Forum, within authentication, within valid users, and we see these 3 test cases. So I come here and I select these 3 test cases, right? And then I come and I click on the green arrow button. And now we have the test cases here. I can close this. And we see here the test name, the type. You know, we have some information here about each of these test cases. Okay? So we've added our test cases to this test set. Any questions here? Okay. Let's do this again. So we have valid users, we have this one. Forum activities, right? We have a couple test cases here, right? So within forum activities, we have users able to search for content using a keyword. What we can say is within forum activities, we can have another test set, right? And we can say content search, right? And we'll say that this test set contains test cases pertaining to the search functionality on the forum, on the PNT forum. Okay? We can set an opening date here. Status is open. And click OK. And here, we're going to come, we're getting in the execution grid, right? We're going to come and select our tests, right? So we're not in authentication, we're in forum activities, right? And what we can do is, we can say, valid user is able to search for content on the PNT forum using a keyword, right? I'm going to bring over this entire folder, whatever is within this entire folder. How do I do that? I'm going to highlight this folder, right? And when I come here and I click on Add to Test, it says, do you want to add the 2 tests in the folder? Valid user is able to search for content on the PNT forum using a keyword to the test set, content search. I say yes. And I see those 2 test cases that belong to this folder are here. Okay? Instead of clicking individually, right, and bringing them over, I just selected that folder and brought those test cases over. Does that make sense? It's two different ways of doing the same thing. Okay? Two different ways of doing the same exact thing. Okay. So I have two test sets, right? Is this clear, what I've done so far? Make sense? Okay. Let's go back to our list here. So create test sets. I did that. We imported the test cases in the test set. That's me going into the test plan and adding them to the execution grid. This is what I just did over here, right? And what I just did over here with this, with these three test cases, that was me importing from the test plan into the test lab section, into the execution grid section of the test lab. Okay? Now I need to execute test sets in the test lab section. Okay? So how do we do this? We can close this, right? Valid users are able to log into the PNT form, right? We're going to execute this test set first, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to execute these test cases, okay? User enters valid credentials, right? I have this highlighted. I'm going to come here and click on Run, right? Minimize everything else, okay? And we see the run name, the test set, all this stuff is populated on its own, right? If we have any comments here, we can do that. So begin run, right? That's it. Now, step 1. User will open IE. Okay. Start. IE. All right. Cool. Actual result is IE was opened. This is me actually executing a test case. Okay? This is actual execution of a test case. So the actual result is that IE was opened. Pass the selected test. Pass the selected step. Right? Next step. User navigates to forum.pit.us. Okay. Forum.pit.us. And what do I see? PNT forum login page appears. That's the expected result. Okay. What's the actual result? PNT forum login page appeared. Right? Pass to select. User enters test user 1 in the username field located in the center of the PNT forum login page. That's the next step, right? So I'm going to come in, test user 1, and test user 1 is entered. There we go. Test user 1 is entered in the username field. Right? Selected. User enters ABCD1234 in the password field. Right? So, ABCD1234. Do I click login? No, not yet. That's not the step. Right? The step was only to enter in ABCD1234 in the password field. Right? So the expected result is that the password is entered in the password field, right? And it is encrypted with 8 black dots. Is it encrypted with 8 black dots? I can count these dots. It's 8 dots, right? So I can say that password is entered and it is encrypted, right? Pass to selected. Now, I need to click on the login button, right? So I click on the login button. And what do I see here? PNT forum homepage appears, yes. That logout button appears. And hey, test user 1 appears in the top right corner. There we go, right here. Cool? So we can say that the PNT forum homepage appeared. We can say that the logout button appeared. We can say that hey, test user 1 appeared. in the top right corner of the page. And another way to change the status here, passed. Right? I just clicked here, that list opens up, and I can select the status of that step. It's passed. Right? Now, next step. User closes IE. IE is closed, so let's come here. We close IE, and we can say IE is closed. Okay? And we pass the selected. Now what? Now we stop that run. We end that run. And now let's look at what happened here. Okay? User enters valid credentials. The type was manual. The status is now passed. Right? The execution date was today. Time was this. Right? And now, and down here, what do we see? Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4, Step 5, Step 6. All of these are passed. Right? And we can see step by step the description, the expected, and the actual results that we put in. You see that? Guys, that's manual testing. Okay? That's it. Okay. Okay. We don't need screenshots to attach. I will show screenshots and when we would normally use them in a few minutes. When would you select blocked? Blocked, that could mean if you have some sort of a major defect, a major showstopper, right? For example, that login button just is not working. You're blocked. You can't do anything else. Okay? Okay. Now, some people are asking about screenshots right now, right? It depends on the organization and the level of detail that they require. Okay? Thankfully, I have never worked in an organization where they required that every step of a manual test case that I execute, I had to take a screenshot. Okay? But I know people that have, worked as manual testers, and they were asked to take a screenshot of every step that they executed for every test case, right? Whether the step passed or failed. They wanted to know what was the result of each step. Okay, so they asked them to take a screenshot. Okay, in my experience, I've only taken screenshots when we have a defect. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay? Okay. All right. So now let's come in here. Let's execute this next test case, right? User enters invalid username and invalid password. Let's run this. Begin the run. Step 1, launch the browser. Okay. Right. And begin run. Right. And now we can see here. This is the list of our values that we have that we're going to be using. Okay. You say okay. And so now, step 1. User will open up the browser, so we're going to open up IE. Right? All right.